All right, we're here. We're inside. Was this the NBC Suites?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, nice little
Living
fireside
large.
chat. No Ohlsen, Pat Vellner. Guys, first off, how's it going?
Wonderful. Thank you for having us. We just both got out here today.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to be seen in Boulder.
It's quite the...
I gotta say, Pat, it took you 2 seconds and you're talking in the mic sideways.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Should I be
Straight
doing
at
that?
it.
just feels
This is better.
It feels natural. You kind of want to turn it a little
You're
bit.
a side guy, huh?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, wow.
I never knew until just now.
Hey, everybody's got their thing, right? But yeah, you guys both got in. Travel's all right?
Yes. Straight flight from Miami. Quite the contrast. We left Miami hot and sunny. Arrived in Boulder to some snow, which I love. Cool change of pace.
Yeah. Pat, is this a little warm for you?
No, this is actually colder than home for me right now.
Oh, cool.
I saw we got the deep freeze blow in like right in time for us to get here. So
Everybody
that's
said
always
this
lovely.
is the coldest it's been in like the whole year is this week.
So anyway, that's fine.
Perfect.
Mother Nature brought in the special weather for you guys.
That's right. Just bring it on.
So, yeah, we're here for obviously the 22.1
There you go.
announcement, kick off the season. This is actually a repeat of 18.2 for you guys, where you guys went head to head.
I thought you meant the workout for a second. I was like, how do you know? I don't think you're supposed to tell us.
You're supposed to say that, yeah.
Matchup wise, trust me.
Yeah.
But how would you say that your kind of approach to open announcements, how you view them, has kind of evolved since then?
Take it away, Patty.
I think it's fun. It's fun that we're doing it again together.
A rematch.
Yeah, I think last time we split it too.
One and one.
It was
Yeah,
a
it's
two-parter.
true.
So we
Technically,
split it.
tiebreaker.
Yeah. So we got this will be for all the marbles.
There you go.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't know. For me, the open announcements are always a bit of fun, right? I think in the past, when the open, I dare say, mattered a little more.
Yeah.
I think people go into the open announcements with the expectation that you'll probably have to redo it. I think often they weren't really necessarily set up for the athletes to be the most successful possible, but more for like a good show for everybody. And that was the purpose of it, right?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, with the change to the season structure, I think the competitor season starts in the quarterfinals, and the open is now, I think it's been given back to the community a little more, and it's more of a touch point to be less intimidating and more fun for people again. So I mean, for us, that's how I'm looking at it. I just competed a month ago. Like, I'm not looking to absolutely bury myself again, right? So I'm happy to be here and do it and have some fun with it. I mean, I'm never going to not try hard when I'm in the middle of the workout. I think you're going to do the best with whatever training you've come in here with. But at the end of the day, this is like the very, very early stages of the season, and I think all the people here kind of know that.
Yeah. I think that's the case, that it's still set up to be a show, but it matters a little bit less because the top, 10% now move on. So the repeats maybe not as necessary. You know, if we have to go with a couple minutes notice, we don't have the proper equipment to warm up, whatever it may be, even if our performance is not as ideal, it's okay, because likely we'll be able to move on to the next stage, which is a little more important for qualification.
Does that make it more fun? Like a little bit less stress?
Yeah, for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think you can let go of some of the anxiety for sure. And because I think there's always, we're here because we're competitors, right?
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, when you're pushing next to somebody, like, you want to beat that person, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But like Noah said, we're probably less likely to bring it home and then, burn another day of training to redo the workout when, it was probably perfectly fine to get us through for top 10%, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a fellow 10%er, I would say it's, a little less stressful.
Cheers.
So, there you go. Yeah. I'll give you that. But
It's here for a good old time, man.
Yeah. But you mentioned something about like giving it back to the community. And I think that a lot of people see that open announcements, like you said, Pat, as a touch point for that, as like kind of putting a little bit of a spectacle forward around a competition that everyone gets to participate in. And so I'm always curious, like, what is the motivation for you to do an open announcement with that in mind? And do you see it as an integral part of like getting these back to like must-watch television streaming, I guess, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like looking at it from the outside, or now that we're on the inside, kind of. I used to be on the outside looking in, and so I was obsessed with watching all the YouTube videos and the head-to-heads and the open announcements, and so now being one of the guys in it, I don't know how excited people are about getting to watch us do it. I hope that that's still the case, because I know when I was that kid, I was eating it up and going out and trying to replicate those performances. So
Yeah.
it definitely created some enthusiasm for me back in the day. And if it still does that for some young, hungry kids or the mom at the gym, whoever it may be, I think, yeah, it's really cool that we have the opportunity to create some excitement to kick off the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Noah's right. Like, I remember watching Scott Panchik back in the day doing his before he retired, you know. But you know, it's funny now when you're the one being asked. I wouldn't want to say no. I think it's a fun thing to do. Competition is stressful. A lot of the season is stressful. So I think I was talking about this with my wife on the way up. It's like a low stakes environment to actually kind of enjoy these sorts of things again.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of really cool opportunities that we get to have as competitors. And I think a lot of the time you don't let that wash over you. You're so focused or you're so engaged in the goals that you don't really get to step outside yourself and enjoy it. And this is one that you can. There were back in the day, the Invitational was a similar kind of environment.
Yeah.
Where just the stakes are low, and you get to see your friends and hang out with the people that are a part of this machine that we usually see in such an unofficial and militant, you know, environment that it makes it a little more fun.
Yeah.
And on the other side, like, I love that it's more growth. Like, I think the more we can get people who are recognizable names or get more of these. I know this year they have 4 athletes, it seems like, doing every announcement. Maybe it just helps with growth of the sport, like more eyes on, bringing more audiences in. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what we still want, is we want forward motion, right? Perpetual motion forward.
That's true. You mentioned kind of based on performance, based on how you're coming into this particular event. I'm just kind of curious, how's training been? Like, how's the body holding up? You competed a month ago. You competed on a team a month ago, and like, I'm just curious, where are you guys at this stage of the season? You know, seeing as that you're both veterans now, and you've been through this before, and you know, you maybe not trying to win the Open, like you both have won it worldwide.
Yeah,
that's true.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cheers to that as well. Pat and I were actually just chatting at the gym. It's funny now that we're kind of the older guys, up 30 plus. The old
practically a miracle.
Yeah, right. We're just hanging on. So no, it's definitely different. I think the approach to the season is different as well. I realized last year, I think I ended up kind of peaking too soon. We've probably all made that mistake, but training was so awesome in January. I was consistently snatching heavy. My running was dialed in. Like, everything was so good at the beginning of the year. And then come August, I felt like a lot of that stuff had fallen off. And looking back, I was like, what was the point of being in such great shape in January? So we're definitely pushing things back, looking to peak at the right times. I think this is a good Kickstarter for everybody.
You're more svelte too. You look like you leaned out a little bit.
Slim pickings.
Yeah.
Lost a little bit of weight, which feels nice. So I
just
just
what that was like.
Not me.
Are you a hefty boy?
Probably. I don't weigh myself. I stay clear of that.
Yeah. You're in dad mode?
That's right. I'm just getting bigger.
I actually am climbing back up, though. I just started some creatine again.
Ooh.
And I put back on like another 5. So I don't know. It's funny. When I am not competing anymore and not taking creatine and lifting heavy weights, I wonder if my natural frame will be a little like slimmer than it seems to get when I'm having to do all the stuff that we have to do.
Water weight, you know?
Yeah. Bulky
Almost
boys.
certainly.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll lose like 20 pounds.
Yeah. I wonder if we all will.
Oh, yeah.
Inflammation, water weight, all that.
Yeah, huh?
Good colonoscopy.
Everybody needs
I'll
one.
drop a quick 10.
Oh man, I love it. How's your training been?
It's been good. I mean, this time of year, the last, few seasons, because I've done Wadapalooza the last few years, I don't like to walk into that competition feeling like I'm out of shape. So, you prepare for that really hard, and then you have to take time off. So the training looks a little different in January, and I've kind of always, the last few years, looked at the Open as an opportunity to just sort of treat those workouts as your kind of conditioning for that day and really move past it. I haven't done a lot of repeats over the last few years, and that's just kind of the plan, is to set the long-term goals, look at semifinals. Last year was a little weird because it was the first look at that structure. So I was maybe in a little better shape earlier because I wasn't sure what the quarterfinals would have in store. But this year, I think we're planning for semifinals, and the training's been good enough. I think it's fine. Good enough to keep me healthy and happy. And I think I'm spending more time doing like smart training and taking care of my body. There's a little bit lower impact in the last month. just to sort of take the pressure off the old knees and shoulders, you know?
Yeah, that was also what we were just talking about at the gym. My shoulder at the beginning of the season was not in great shape, and there was the consideration, do I take the time to maybe sit this season out and really rehab it properly? But at this stage in the game, you take one season off and that might end up just being the end of it. So decided to kind of forge on and make the most of what we got.
That's a tough position to be in, because I feel like for so much of the community at this stage, it's like I'm trying to peak right now. You know, like everyone's like, oh, Thanksgiving comes, like opens around the corner, we got to start dialing this in.
Yeah.
Whereas like you almost have to kind of fight that urge to try and, like you say, you feel great in January, and that's like, I don't know if that's the
What's
recipe.
the point?
Yeah, that's a tough urge to kind of fight back as competitors, I feel like.
It's a long year. It takes some planning. Like, that's why it's good. It pays to be organized and plan. And I think when you've got the foundation that like Noah or I have from 8 years, then you can maybe afford a little bit of wiggle room on those kind of things where it can take a little bit of the pressure off early. But so it's more about intelligence now, like healthy training. Like I'm not old, but I'm not young enough to just be running head first at shit anymore. You know, like I have to be a little bit more intelligent about the way I approach things. If I try to squat heavy every day of the week, like my knees are going to hurt. If I try to like run 60K a week, like my ankles and knees are going to be shot. Like you just need to balance things a little better. And so it's organization, like conversations you have with your coach and your team, and being, as transparent with those teams as you can, because that's what matters.
I think it requires a bit of maturity as well. I know back in the day, I wanted to win everything, no matter what stage of the game it was in. I wanted to win that workout. I wanted to win that competition. And then eventually you realize once you do win the Open, it's like, oh, that went by really quickly. I didn't really get a reward for that. So you start to kind of push off what matters until later in the season.
That's an awesome but also hilarious statement. Like once you win the Open, you realize, as like the preface, it's like, oh, I'm sitting here like, man, I have no clue what that's.
Hey man, there's still hope for you yet.
Yeah, one of these days,
Let's
60
go.
plus.
This could be it.
I got the long game, 25 years, I'll be good.
Attaboy.
But do you guys feel more confident going into this season now that we have a year of like this new structure under our belt, as far as like what it's going to take to get to semis and quarters? Because last year, everything felt like, from the way the games ended in 2020 to 2021 was this fast turnaround. And all of a sudden it's like, bam, bam, bam. We have more stages, more competition hoops to kind of jump through. And this year it feels like everything's a little bit more settled.
Yeah, I do think that a little bit of confidence comes with comfort. Knowing what is coming and being able to plan the season, like Pat was just saying, is super helpful. But kind of, I guess only taking it one season at a time, for sure it helps. Looking beyond this season, it's likely with all the change that's gone on that structure is going to change at some point again. So I don't want to get too married to any season structure,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're only ever really playing with like half a deck of cards, right? Like we still don't know any workouts, or a lot of the information is still behind a curtain. So, you can't let yourself get too confident, or lest you get smacked real bad by some curveball. But, and I don't know, I always still think that it's hard. Right when you think you understand the landscape and even competitively the athletes that you're competing against, there's new people coming in that you get blindsided by something else, and you just sort of have to be paying attention and engaged. So I don't know. I mean, like I'm as confident as I can be, but like my most confident is not like I'm never counting my chickens before they hatch. Like I've been asked that in competitions for even events that are like, hey, this looks like a home run for you. Hey, you're like, nah.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know who's in like heat one. Like I have no clue, right? So you just never know all the information. And I'm someone who I like information. I either want all the information or I want none of the information. I don't like the half.
I agree with that.
The half deal,
For sure.
I'm like, if I know nothing and nobody knows anything, great.
I prefer that actually.
And it's like, but otherwise, because then no one can plan. But if I'm gonna plan, I want to plan hard.
Yeah.
So I want all the details.
Have to fill in the pieces with your own opinions.
Both of those kind of belie to the athlete that has experience, right? Because you're going to have an edge on planning because you've been through the cycles, if you have time to plan. And if you don't, you have a broader base of fitness, if I'm not mistaken, to know that I'm going to be able to pull a better one shot out of the hat if we're, given a chaos event or something like that,
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what it seems like to me on the
Yeah.
outside, because you see other athletes that are a little like wide-eyed, or it's their first year at the games and are not really sure about all the other there's so many other distractions, or at semifinals.
I think that's a big, actually, a big reality is understanding, having a better filter. I think you're better at understanding what information is important and what is not, and filtering out the garbage. And then you kind of are better at focusing on the things that are important and then applying that forward. Whereas you can get lost in the noise for sure.
Yeah. That's like the first year you show up and Castro's giving everybody the first dinner speech and trying to scare you and telling you can pull out of the games anytime you want. In the first year, you're like, oh my God, this is scary.
You're going to die this year.
And then the next few years, you're just laughing at him and like you're in on the joke. So there are some benefits to being a veteran for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But where's the line competitively? Because you guys are going to go out there in a couple of days. People listening will hear this on Wednesday, the eve of the Open, and you guys are going to go out and try and have a good performance and try and put on a little bit of show.
Totally.
But where's that line for you? Is it workout dependent? Is it energy feel kind of dependent? I'm always curious, like, where you throttle that in terms of like, I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to make that extra effort. Or did you just trust your training?
I don't think either of us are going to be in the middle of a workout and be like, keeping it at 90% here. I think we're going to go all in and try to, on that particular workout, do the best that we can. Because in an open workout, there's not really necessarily the risk for damaging yourself for the rest of the season,
Yeah.
At least that's my opinion. I don't know if you feel otherwise.
I always tell people the Open, you only have to be fit one day a week. And then, the next stage, where what used to be regionals, now quarters and semis, you got to be fit for like 3 days.
Multiple.
And then by the time the games come, you got to be fit for a week. So
if give or take, I got 12 good days in me a year. Then
you just got to line them up.
That's all it takes.
No, so it's, you can you could probably throttle down for one day, even if your training's not at that point yet, and you might pay for it the next day, but it doesn't matter. You can lay in bed the next day.
Yeah. I can't picture either of us rep for rep and then Pat's like, oh no, I said I was going to keep myself at 90. I'm going to let him take it.
I think it depends on the workouts.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. You do need
Wave
to.
the flag.
One of the hardest things in open announcements is having the time to wrap your head around what's going on. Because sometimes
quickly.
They say it out loud and you have a hard time. Like, I always want to see what it looks like on paper to really understand it. And then, kind of like see what the floor layout looks like and wrap your head around that. And then sometimes it's like you've got 3 minutes to warm up and now you got to go. So you figuring out like, where are the bottlenecks? Like, what's going to gas out first? Like, is my heart going to give out, or my shoulders going to give out, or my legs going to quit?
Yeah, you don't have a lot of planning time.
And sometimes when you get to watch someone else do the open announcement, you get to watch it and say, oh, it looks like it's the legs that are
Don't do that.
So you can sort of do that. So, the one thing you have in an open announcement is you've got to be able to learn on the fly and adapt pretty quick. So part of it is, like Noah said, you're going to go hard. Yeah, I think you got to go hard, but we have enough experience to look at things and I think understand how they're going to affect you over time just by looking at it and not having to do it. And some of it's just a little bit of guesswork. And then sometimes you make a bad guess. That happens to everybody.
Yeah. True. A couple more questions. I'll let you guys go because I know you got a dinner to head to in just a minute. Two things. First one, they announced that at least 2 events are going to be standardized across semifinals this year. As guys who've been through it before, I'm curious what your initial thoughts. I know from my perspective as a storyteller, it makes for good media.
Yeah.
It makes for good analysis. It makes for good common threads to tie between events and athletes and things like that to tell it to the people. And I'm curious if that's something that you guys are happy to see this year or indifferent.
Yeah, I think it's a cool comparison metric so that you can kind of gauge where you're at relative to all the other athletes you'll be competing against at the games. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I remember people complaining last year that, the workouts are different at every one and you could get lucky and go to one that's programmed for you or vice versa. But at the end of the day, you're only competing against that pool of athletes that are at your event. So it doesn't matter what the guys at the other event are doing because they're judged only against those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to that point, being in a race next to someone who's going faster might pull you faster, right? So, being in those physical races makes a difference. So sometimes it's hard to compare. We used to see the same thing at regionals, right? Like one region's overall times on an event are slower, and then you've got like 8 guys from one event who all break the event record that was previous, because it's like one guy leads them out and then everybody goes faster.
What was that, the mile time, right, back in the day? Like as soon as somebody broke it, everybody broke it. It's kind of
the banister effect.
We'll get
minute.
Exactly. We'll get a time on the first week, and then somebody will set the world record, and then somebody else the next week will reset it.
And so part of that is, you've got extra time to prepare. You can train specifically for those events. But I agree with you. I think, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And like, if you guys are better storytellers,
I like it.
that benefits us, right? I think all the athletes and the sport benefit from having easy comparisons, easy stories to tell. I've been around long enough to not get lost in the weeds on that.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I go week 1 and I win the event in my region, and then everybody crushes me for the next 3 weeks. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
But if it holds up, then maybe you might send a few texts out to the boys.
Right. I'll be getting hot on Twitter. But
Twitter fingers? Are you on Twitter?
I am, but I'm a spectator. I don't do anything.
Same.
I used to in the regionals days. I'd throw some bait out now and then.
Nice.
So I think that's good. It's good to have a couple touch points like that. We had a bit of that last year with so many events going online.
Yeah.
And I think you lose the effect of those physical races because everyone's just racing online. But the MAC did Gretel, and all the online competitions did Gretel. So probably like 7 or 6 out of 10 did that workout, and you got a lot of comparisons, right? So I think it's cool to see. It's always fun to have more parallels we can draw. But I think it's also cool to see the creativity that different events bring.
Yeah.
So I'm not overly concerned about it. I think it'll be cool to have like a kind of a mixed bag. You got a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And you can have those comparisons, but you give some freedom to create and those events to express themselves and their personalities. And I think that's also important, right?
Yep. Totally. And I think especially as I guess we're in this now post Castro era, giving more people opportunity, I guess, to develop programming elements of that, particularly when it's your event and your, internal, I think could definitely help everyone get a little bit better overall. But speaking of Twitter fingers, I'm curious, we got a little mayor's bet going on here for tomorrow. What are we doing?
What's happening tomorrow?
I feel like
my bad.
Show
ruined it.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We're
like
recording this on Tuesday. You should. Oh, okay.
We should pick a horse on the women's.
Pick a horse, yeah. Because what was it last? It was 17-1. You and Brent had the old feather dusting.
Yeah, that's right. We did do that.
Oh, you want to do like a little punishment thing?
I don't want to think of one right now. We could come up with something maybe.
Fall game.
Have a gentleman's bait. It's fun. And this is the thing, when it's a big show too, like who gives a shit? It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't care.
The more fun, the better.
Yeah, we can get people involved. It's fun to do stuff that gets people involved. That was a good one because we got like all the crowd that was there.
And Rory and Boz and all
water balloons and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can come up with something fun. And
sounds good to me.
I'm
going to chirp you on Twitter and then let's get the creative juices going.
I was going to say if the listeners have ideas and...
All right, actually we'll put a poll. We'll put a poll out.
Yeah. Cool.
But
and I guess I'll go with Bethany.
Oh,
are we
pick a
picking
horse?
Ladies?
Now you need to either pick Bethany and we both duck Danielle, or you have to pick the other one. So
I got faith in DB.
Okay.
I'll go Danielle Brandon.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. What colors? We should be making like a spreadsheet like the Super Bowl betting lines. Like what color hair do you think?
What are those called? Prop bets.
Danielle's going to come out with.
Oh, it looks like
Pink,
a Gatorade
blue,
bag. Yeah. That's a good one.
Is Bethany going to go pigtail braids or just one?
Definitely.
Braid?
Power braid.
Two pigtails. I'm going Bethany, 2 pigtails, and Danielle's.
Does Bethany wear 2 different color shoes?
Does she usually?
Oh,
she has.
You've got more insight on that than me.
Man, I'm curious what the girls will come up now because I'm going to interview them tomorrow. What kind of bets they're going to throw on you guys?
The girls don't pay any attention to the men's field.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know
Clueless. Pat who? No way.
The guy from All In 4?
That's right. This guy did the dance scene, right?
Yep.
That's you, baby.
Well, guys, thanks for sitting down and chatting,
Pleasure.
putting your backs against the fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice and toasty over there.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little tan here.
Yeah, but I'll let you guys get going, and best of luck in a couple days. It's good to catch up.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for listening.
See you later.